and we are live once again. You are listening to the Solvable Mysteries Podcast. This is episode number 53. My name is Juras, and as every week, I'm joined by my co host, Glenn Highcove. How are you feeling, man? Is everything all right on your end?
Yeah, doing awesome. Just hanging in here, having myself a good couple of beach days.
Excellent. It seems that you've been going to the beach a lot recently, right? I mean, the weather is probably
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's even with all the COVID stuff going on. Um, the beach is open. I think even in all the counties. I don't know. I saw a chart that was saying that out of all the COVID stuff, it's like kind of mid range risk for us right now. Like it's not
Mm.
like like going to the gym is supposed to be like the worst or one of the worst things to do.
Going to the gym
Um,
is, man, going to the gym is the one of the worst things to do, even when it's not like when there's no COVID. Because my brother legit went to the to the gym like I don't know, like 3 months ago, and then he got some eye infection. That then
oh
I got
yeah,
the same eye infection. So like going to the gym with all the nasty people out there most of the time, at least here in Lithuania, that's like a not good idea. Regardless, I think during the COVID season, it's probably even better.
yeah, it's true. It's funny. I didn't really ever think about it that much back when I was used to do that. But yeah, now that we're all so sensitive about touching this and touching that, it's like, oh yeah, no wonder. Like all of us,
Mm.
all of us are just touching the same weight equipment and weights, and then you touch your face or
The showers are probably nasty.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, it's true.
Right.
Um, yeah, so we have I think we have a case that's a user request today,
Yep.
don't we?
Yep. This is the case of the Kenneka Jenkins. Now, if you're watching this on our YouTube platform, just go to YouTube and type in Solvable Mysteries Podcast. You will find all of our visual assets right there. We're talking about a young woman. She was 19 at the time of her death. Now, let's reveal the fact that she was dead. I think the way we should structure this podcast. Let's go through the story of how this woman ended up dead, and then let's discuss why she, died, and then pretty much who's responsible. Because I think this case in particular definitely brings out a lot of emotions in people, especially uh, in conspiracy theorists that sort of are leaning towards one way or another. Now, I'm not really certain if I believe in the conspiracies, but let's get into it. Let's see what we could, if we could like find common ground with some of them. So the brief story of how Kenneka Jenkins, this one right here, ended up dead was, well, she was celebrating with friends at a party that took place at the Crowne Plaza, room 9206. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Crowne Plaza hotels, they're like there's not only like one Crowne Plaza, right? There's like Crowne Plazas all over the place, I
Yeah, I bet
believe.
that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the problem. So, just to get that out of the way quickly, when you have a hotel chain, like the Hilton or whatever, usually the staff will not be super joyful and like invested in the well-being of the occupants of the hotel rooms. Now, why I'm saying this, because like when you have like a family-run hotel, you know what I mean? I think you know where I'm going with
Oh
this.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the staff is usually more like friendly, more caring per se. But when you have like these big conveyor production, like just money making machines like the Crowne Plaza, the Hilton, Four Seasons, there are definitely some establishments like that probably don't really care about their occupants, or at least some people that work in there. They're just like paycheck to paycheck, just 9 to 5ing, not really caring. So something like that will come up in this case. Now, how Kenneka Jenkins and her friends ended up partying in the Crowne Plaza Hotel is pretty interesting, right? Because I believe Kenneka actually lied to her mother at one point that she was going to bowling, and then she went to a party in the Crowne Plaza Hotel, and the room 9206 was actually booked by a fraudulent credit card. Did I get this correct, man?
Oh wow, I had not heard that, but I was kind of wondering because it was a group of young people, and in fact, one of the articles I read said that like hotels they're not usually super fond of a bunch of people partying in their rooms, especially a bunch of young people who may be doing like underage drinking and smoking weed and things like that. So I was wondering, like, I feel like a lot of times you have to be like 25 or 21 or something to even get a hotel room.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah, like
Hmm.
just like car rentals. Like I think you have to be 25 to rent a car because it's just a certain age group that they don't that corporations don't trust. So yeah,
Yeah.
to your point, um, that wouldn't be totally surprising to me that that's how this passed muster. Because part of me was wondering, like, how did all these people even end up in a hotel room without like security at the hotel noticing? And I don't know. I mean, to your point, maybe in a big hotel like that, people just look the other way. Like they're just, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's not worth
Yeah.
getting in a fight with a bunch of people. And they're like, well, these are the rules. If we catch somebody breaking the rules, then maybe we can kick them out. But we're not going to unlike a family run hotel that would really care about what happens, maybe
Hmm.
a bunch of people, like you said, working at the conveyor belt hotel, maybe they don't really care.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So without stopping here too long, Kenneka Jenkins was actually, well, what she told to her mother, Teresa Martin, she was actually going to celebrate getting a new job, right? This is not a big thing in this case, but I just wanted to mention it right here that Kenneka Jenkins was in fact working, or like was going to start working at this care home, something like that, right? I believe.
Yeah, and actually, just sorry, just to rewind for a second, I am seeing, just confirming. That's funny. I totally missed that. That there was a the hotel did cite the stolen credit card as being part of what led to the sequence of events we're talking about today.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Right. So without stopping here, as I've said, let's I guess move on to Kenneka Jenkins arriving at the hotel with her friends. Now, this is a still from a surveillance footage. I'm not gonna play the whole surveillance footage. We do have some visual assets down the line. I just wanted to show this still. I just wanted to get a few facts straightened out. So the first thing is Kenneka Jenkins apparently arrives with three other people to this party. Now, Kenneka Jenkins is probably the person who is the furthest away in this particular still. Now, she's wearing all a denim outfit and I believe white shoes. So she's wearing a denim jacket and then some denim, I guess, jeans. So this is them arriving at the scene essentially. By the way, everything is happening in 2017 in September 9th. So I'm thinking it's September in Chicago or necessarily Illinois. That's probably pretty windy. That's pretty cold, right? So I think they're dressed appropriately for like the weather, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. So then they arrive at the party. Now, pretty much during the party, there's. I mean, I'm gonna show some assets. I think we could definitely jump to one of them right now. Oh, this is her arriving at the party. My bad. We have. I'm not gonna play the audio because the audio contains some copyrighted music. So I guess we could just play it right here. I think this is when they arrived at the party. Now you can see Kenneka in the back, and this video is pretty wild. You got like the camera moving all over the place, but I guess this just pretty much gives us a better look at how people were. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't look like a bowling trip to me. You know what I mean? Like this definitely seemed like it's something more than that. And people were probably looking to really party hard that day. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah.
from this footage of them driving. And I think another thing that is worth mentioning right now is that there's a bunch of Facebook Live videos. I don't know what it is in Chicago, Illinois, but it seems like you have to be on Facebook Live like every 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So pretty much they arrive. Kenneka is in the back, as I've said. So Kenneka is having a good time. She's pretty happy, and I think from that footage, it's also worth mentioning that her friends seemed pretty cool. Now, down the line they will do some questionable things, to say the least. At least one of the friends. But yeah, so they arrive at this party now. The timeline for me is a little bit hazy because I'm not gonna lie, I was stringing up my research last minute because I was working on some other projects as well for this podcast, so I didn't really have the time to get the exact timing on my end 100% correct. So maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Kenneka is reported missing at 1:15 p.m. Right? Is that correct? But then again, yeah, just correct me if I'm wrong, man.
Okay. So as far as after all the events, so okay. Well, let's clarify what we mean by reported missing. So, her mother, I think would say she was missing at about 4 a.m. the following morning. So literally almost the same night, right? If you consider that early morning, the night, that's when Kenneka's friends call her mother to ask if she got home, because they have her car, and then at 5 a.m. they show up with their car and no Kenneka. So I'd say from probably 4 a.m. is when her mother decides she's missing. She calls the police at 7:15, and then yeah, to your point, they finally formally enter her into the cops. The police finally Rosemont police enter her into the law enforcement agency's data system, also known as LEADS, as a missing person, and start searching the hotel.
Exactly. Oh yeah, definitely. Because I can see as well at 4 a.m. Yeah, Jenkins' friends called the mother. Now before we actually get into this discovery of Kenneka's body and things like that, let's go back a little bit back into the party, right? So I have another asset from pretty much the party, and I guess so Kenneka went missing at, as I've said, she was reported missing, at least by her friends, to her mother at 4 p.m. Right? No, 4. My bad. It was like, man, this timeline is really getting to me. It was 4 a.m. My bad, sorry, 4 a.m. So the friends called the mother at 4 a.m. Then the mother says nope, she's not back home. So 1 hour later, they arrive with Kenneka's car. Now the first question I have, like, aren't these people all drunk? How are they driving this car back to Kenneka's mother's, Teresa Martin's house? You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I have questions. But let's leave that a little bit for the future, I guess, or whatever. Let's go back into the party now. Why Kenneka Jenkins went missing was pretty much the girls at around 3 a.m. the following night. The previous night, they decide to leave the party. There have been reports that some people at the party were aggressively flirting with this group of girls and whatnot. So they decide to leave the party at 3 a.m. Now, once they leave the hotel room, which was really crowded and packed, let's just give a better sense of what's happening. I'm just gonna play this clip right here. I'm pretty sure this is probably the last Facebook Live clip from the party when Kenneka was still seen alive. Now, she's gonna come up in this live a little bit later on. I'll definitely notify you when she does. The thing is, once they leave the apartment room, Kenneka and her friends go to this elevator. Now, near the elevator, Kenneka realizes that she has left her cell phone as well as her car keys at this hotel room. Now, Kenneka at that point was pretty drunk. That's why she was almost escorted by her friends. The first question I have is, how come Kenneka? Why did she even take the car to the place? Because the car belonged to her mother. That's the thing. The car belonged to Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin. Teresa Martin's insurance policy on that car stated that it only the insurance is only viable if either Teresa Martin herself drives the car or Kenneka Jenkins drives that car. So if Kenneka Jenkins went in there thinking that she was gonna get drunk, then obviously she can't drive, especially in the state that she was. She definitely can't drive the car back home. So why did she bring the car? Why not call an Uber? You know what I mean? Like, why would you bring a car when you know that you're not gonna be able to drive that car back? And if one of your friends drives it, also probably drunk or high on weed or something like that. By the way, that's Kenneka right there. We can see her in the footage. If your friend is gonna drive that car, then the insurance policy will not cover that. Will not cover it. And Teresa Martin actually specifically stated that she told Kenneka to not let anyone else drive that car because the insurance won't cover it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Give us your thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems really stupid, right, or foolish. I don't know if, like, she got pressured into it, because originally they had planned to do something else, and then this party was sort of a decision they all made once the night got started. But yeah, it's really dumb. I don't know if it was just the cost of an Uber, or I don't know. Are there I guess there must not. I don't know if there's any age limit, like lower age limit to Uber, or whether like Chicago has any kind of Uber issues. You know, like, because some cities have like anti-Uber laws. But no, I mean, just to your point, like you could take a taxi, you could do something else, and then it turns out that the other issue was, once they get to this hotel, apparently this was one of the factors for why the friends and everybody was so eager to leave the party, and not like you might think, like, it's a hotel room. If somebody can kind of guarantee your safety, which is a little bit dubious in a packed, like you said, a packed hotel room full of people you don't know. So as a woman, you may not feel safe sleeping off, being drunk at a hotel room. But whatever the reason is, apparently this hotel had signs all over the place saying that if you were parked in the parking lot and you didn't have the appropriate permit, and I don't know if you had to pay for that permit, so that's part of the issue, because some hotels can have pretty expensive parking fees for staying at the hotel and having a permit and all that. It really depends. Like, if you're in a suburban, like San Francisco is one of the ones where, like, for us to park at the like 10 years ago to park at the parking lot was like $30 a day just for that. I don't know.
That's a crazy amount of money, man.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's not even that bad probably compared to now. Now it's probably like $60 a day.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, that's
like that's like 3 weeks at the airport parking here.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, especially downtown LA. Same thing. So yeah, there's like, apparently there were signs saying there's a $200 fine or fee, or it's probably an impound fee. You probably get towed or something, and then you have to go down to the tow lot. So it's like a whole problem. So yeah, I mean to your point, it doesn't sound like the night was well thought out. So already these are probably signs of somebody making, I mean, it's not unusual for teenagers to do this, right? For a young person who's not even 20 yet. But yeah, already making poor decisions for her evening.
Exactly. So Kenneka Jenkins and her friends are at this elevator now. Kenneka realizes that she has left her car keys and her cell phone. Now, what do the Kenneka Jenkins friends do? Now, this is really gonna be baffling. Now, Kenneka Jenkins is really drunk at that point. Like, she's all high. By the way, she in the autopsy there was no drugs found, but there was one particular drug found that I think we're gonna discuss a little bit. That's why I said she was high, because that one drug was really interesting. I don't really have an explanation how it ended up in her body, but whatever. The friends actually all together go back to fetch her cell phone and car keys, because apparently Kenneka is too drunk to do that. But then again, she's not too drunk to stay by herself at this elevator. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, why
what's
did
that all
everybody have
about?
to go back? Yeah, that's like probably one of several baffling things in this case where I just I can't help but like especially as we get deeper into this case, I can't help but wonder if she and her friends were really like super new to partying and drinking and stuff, because
Yeah,
most people know, I mean, especially women, like I said, women know that, you know, you're at risk when you're inebriated. You're kind of, you can be victimized by somebody. Somebody should have been, because we see her on the videos, you know, staggering around and basically trying to hold herself up in the wall.
yeah,
um that's
yeah.
a really drunk person, or well, it turns out it was more than just drunk, but that's a person who's not, I mean, she's already. I mean, I was kind of surprised she didn't vomit, right? Like, 'cause usually when people are that drunk,
Oh yeah,
you know, there's like it's a coin toss whether they're gonna puke or not,
right.
right? So like, yeah, what? It's pretty
It's
weird. Like, yeah, it's just real super odd.
Sprahad as well, definitely. But then again, you know, this is where everything gets really messed up from this point. Now, Kenneka's friends actually return to the elevator where they left the super intoxicated Kenneka Jenkins. Now, they can't find her. They can't find her. Kenneka is nowhere to be seen, but, you know, the friends actually, from what I've gathered, actually did start searching for her. And pretty much the searches for Kenneka Jenkins proved no. It pretty much didn't really they couldn't find her, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Kenneka Jenkins was definitely not found, but then again, at 4 p.m., 4 a.m., I'm sorry, Kenneka Jenkins' friends calls Teresa Martin to ask if her daughter had returned. She had not at that point. They drive. I don't know what about, like, this was a weird situation for me. How they actually just drove the car back to Teresa Martin's house just to tell her that she's missing. Couldn't they just phoned her and tell her to come to the place while they still continued searching? You know, why would they just drive to Teresa Martin's place? I mean, maybe you have a better idea on what's the motivation to do that.
Yeah, I had two thoughts. So my first thought was, well, maybe they also had to get home to their to their mothers, um, before they
Oh,
got in trouble. So maybe that was, you know, because they're all kind of acting like pretty young people and they're not living on their own probably. But then the other thing is maybe Teresa actually needs her car back to even go do the next step of whatever is going to happen after this. But yeah, it's I think that's the only thing. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they were being super great friends. Like, I don't
exactly,
know how well
exactly.
Kenneka knew these people, but they didn't seem like they were looking out for her best interest in a lot of ways. Though, you know, I guess there's other parts to this where they said that, well, you know, they were inquiring about her, how she was feeling and things like that during the party. So
Yeah,
I don't know. You know, I guess the other thing is they're all kind of semi drunk too. But yeah, if I were her mom and at all suspected that people were drinking, I don't know that I want them driving my car back to my house. Maybe I would take a cab to go get my
especially
car.
when the insurance is not, covering it. So
Yeah, not going to cover them. Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so at 7:15 a.m., Teresa Martin, Kenneka's mother, actually calls the police, and she report. Well, I wouldn't say she reports her missing, because a police officer operator definitely botched, I think, the whole situation. Now, I'll just play a few moments of that phone call because I do have it. So let's listen in on it.
Yes, I'm at the Crowne Plaza at O'Hare Airport, and I was calling because my daughter came to to a party here last night, a gathering with her friends, and now her friends, they said that they left her on the front of the hotel, and she's not able to be found now. She's 19 years old.
And you said that this, and you said the Crowne Plaza at O'Hare Airport?
Yes, and they said that when her friends was asking earlier today, like about 4 o'clock in the morning, because they used to run the video cameras, they said that they didn't have no cameras. But now I came, and it was a lady, she said that she heard music, and she asked me that I want to go upstairs, and we went upstairs on the 11th floor, and it was someone came to the room, and she said that she did see my daughter there with a group of girls and a couple of guys, but that's all she just saw because she was busy trying to get reception on her phone.
All right, well then, you know what? Are you sure you don't mean the Crowne Plaza in Rosemont? No, yes. No, I remember that. You told me that she was 19. But what I'm saying is that she, again, she's only been gone for a couple hours. She's, I don't know, maybe she's, she could be somewhere with one of her friends or something because, I mean, it is only a couple hours since you hadn't seen her, correct? Or since her friend supposedly hadn't seen her?
Correct. Let's say about 3 to 4 hours now, they said. They told me. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning when they called me.
Yeah. Well, I guess the one, are you looking to file a missing persons report then, or are you just...
Let's not play the entirety of this clip. What the clip pretty much stated, well, it was pretty crazy to me because like the officer was like pausing for a few seconds, not even like giving the answers. He was like breathing heavily. He was like, it almost felt like he really, was like not trying to do any work early in the morning, you know what I mean? It was like, just like, give it some time, you know what I'm saying? While Kenneka potentially was in danger, well, we will come to find out that she was in real danger and something could have been done at that point. Now, as the timeline goes further, we have, now, I think you may have did some better research on this part. Well, the police doesn't arrive at the scene, right? But then Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, and her friends actually start going through all of the rooms in the early hours of the September, 10th and September 9th, and they actually, the hotel actually now calls the police on Teresa Martin, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad tactic. I guess it shows her mom was really trying to be responsible about her daughter. I guess that's one way to get action is to literally knock on every single door in the hotel room, where the hotel. So it wasn't just the hotel room. It was they were literally waking up every single guest or at least trying to talk to every single guest in every single room in the hotel in this giant hotel. And yeah, so eventually like the cops get called. It's frustrating because, just to rewind for a second, apparently when this was all happening, the hotel, when I think she talked to the hotel at some point, and the hotel refused to show them the footage or review the footage or something, some kind of, I was trying to find out more about this and why they even have a policy like this, because I think to your point earlier, you made a good intro about the hotel business and how people act that work there. Because if this was a family hotel that prided itself on protecting its guests, like even if there was some kind of rule, I'm trying to think, like I was talking about it here in the house, and I was like, why would a hotel have a rule that they couldn't review security footage or do anything until cops reported someone missing? Because that seems real short-sighted, because if someone's in danger, like it turned out Kenneka was, then you can't really get to them in time. It's not like when you go to a hotel, you don't have any assumed right of privacy, like in the hallways or anything, right? Like, yeah, in your room, nobody should be recording you, but coming in the hotel lobby, going in the elevator, walking around the halls, certainly going in places you're not supposed to be. Which, like, how good is your security footage if someone's in a part of the hotel they're not supposed to be, and you don't even notice? Like, what's the point of those security cameras then, right?
Right,
What kind of
exactly.
security is that? So
Exa-
that's, yeah.
yeah, I
Go ahead,
mean,
sorry.
yeah. What I was going to say is that the police actually do get the footage initially when they arrive, right? But they only see the part where Kenneka Jenkins enters the hotel with her friends. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. I think, yeah, it wasn't by any means like a comprehensive look. I mean, I guess my point is it doesn't even sound like anybody was monitoring the security footage. So if it's just there to cover your ass later, then
Oh, yeah.
it's not even helping you as a hotel. Like, suppose there was anything of value in the places where the cameras are monitoring, like, for instance, the basement, which we're going to talk about later. Well, then somebody could have been in the basement stealing things, and the only purpose that video footage, if they have their face covered, like we all have our face covered now here in the United States, well, then that doesn't help you at all. Like, you didn't at all prevent theft. So just, I guess that's my frustration. While I think, like, a family business, yeah, like, to your point, some of the employees might actually be the family, that owns the business, so they care. And then, as far as, like,
This thing, the conveyor belts,
yeah, the
hotels.
conveyor belt thing, yeah, it's like, well, we have a rule. Well, what's the point of the rule? Like, what was the, sometimes there's a rule that, is it really a rule, or is it just something that a manager said? Or, is it really a rule, or is it just, like that's, I don't want to do anything right now. I don't really understand. Like, so in this case anyway, supposedly there was some kind of policy that they wouldn't even review the footage until the police came to them. So I don't really understand who that's protecting. I don't know if they're, like, trying to protect people from, like, I guess at a hotel, a lot of stuff goes down, not just parties with underage people drinking and
Oh yeah.
smoking weed illegally. Because, by the way, weed's not legal in Chicago, at least last I checked. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, there's people that are there that are having, like, affairs and things like that. So I'm like, well, is it just so that a bunch, someone's angry wife doesn't show up and demand to see, like, maybe that's the
Oh.
reason,
Mm.
like enough angry spouses came and demanded, because they were paranoid because somebody didn't come home tonight at, like, the right hour, that they want to check every hotel. I mean, I
That's a
guess I
good
wouldn't
point.
put it past, yeah, some stuff like that. So maybe that's why, but it just seems pretty obnoxious, that they would, in this case, it wasn't that. It was like, like, hey, by the way, hotel, I don't know, like, are you responsible if someone comes to your hotel and does underage drinking and stuff? Like, isn't that something you're supposed to be trying to prevent from happening? So if someone gets hurt doing something illegal in one of your hotel rooms, I mean, they're lucky she wasn't a minor, right? Because if she was under 18, it maybe it would have totally changed their response time in a lot of this. But yeah.
Exactly. So I think we could pretty much jump to the surveillance footage now. According to the timeline, a hotel worker the next day walks through the empty kitchen, I believe in the lower levels of the hotel, goes into the corner where the freezer is located just outside of the camera view, and then summons a police officer, according to surveillance video, because Jenkins, Kenneka's body is discovered in the cooler inside a freezer, lying on her side with her face down. Now the images are really graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. Now this is pretty much, I guess, how Kenneka was found on September 10th in the freezer. And yeah, as I've said, like the images are pretty graphic. We could see that one of her shoes is removed. We can see a scrunchie on the floor as well. Now, the first thing that I have to say here is that, why is the freezer so nasty? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't the freezers? Because when someone tells me about, like, a big freezer at, like, a Crowne Plaza Hotel, I'm thinking spotless, clean.
Oh yeah,
Why
yeah.
is
Well,
it so nasty in here?
it, if I could, I'm going to speculate. So I know they said that, I guess people were annoyed. Well, family was more than annoyed that the freezer was even on, because apparently it was an unused section of the hotel that was being leased by a restaurant. And then so they were like, well, why was the freezer even on? I would, as far as that question, before I get to your question, I would argue that, yeah, like it's probably just because it takes a long time, I presume, to get a space that big cooled down in time. So if you do need to suddenly throw like a couple sides of beef in there, like you don't want to wait, you don't want to have it thaw out while it takes like 2 whole days or whatever it takes to spool up. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna guess that because it wasn't being used yet, they hadn't given it like a proper like they didn't have any board of health there yet to look at it. Like they weren't actually going to use it for anything. So they're like, you know, we'll just like we know we're going to send somebody. Like, why let it get dirty between when we clean it and when we need to use it? We'll just, clean it once when we finally need it. Maybe that was the rationale. But yeah, it is a little weird that like it was actually on, so it was using power.
Exactly.
Maybe the renter didn't care because they weren't paying that bill.
Yeah, that's definitely that could be a possibility. Now I have this footage. It's like a weird footage, by the way. It's very long, so I'm just gonna play it in the background while we continue to talk about this case. Now this is pretty much the scene on September 10th. Now, as you can see, this guy right here, if you could see, this is like the staff member of the Crowne Plaza, and he went into the kitchen. Now, I'm not certain if he went to the kitchen after he checked the surveillance footage of Kenneka Jenkins that we're gonna show shortly as well. But as you can see, he's walking out now pretty still laid back. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look like if I discover, because apparently when he just walked out, he just saw a dead body of Kenneka Jenkins, like that picture that we showed, which was pretty graphic. If I saw that, you know what I'm saying, I'd be like running out of there, screaming, "This is crazy!" You know what I'm saying? And this guy pretty much like casually just went there. Now you could see he arrives with a police officer as well, and they, then pretty much, I guess the proceedings begin. Now, one of the interesting parts here is that Kenneka Jenkins' mother, Teresa Martin, was actually shown this, shown the sighting of Kenneka's dead body, and pretty much this was her reaction. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but if you could look at the footage right now, man, as you can see, Kenneka's mother's friends everyone's running out, and that's Teresa Martin right there. She just discovered that Kenneka is dead in the freezer, and you could see that emotionally this was crazy for her, and I feel like her reaction seems a lot more real than the reaction of the staff member that did the sighting. You know what I mean? The guy that discovered Kenneka Jenkins, he was pretty nonchalant, don't you think?
Yeah, it was strangely odd, like you said. It makes you wonder what the level of authority was of the person that went to go check, because whether he was in shock because he realized what kind of trouble they were in, regardless of whose fault or what happens. Like, it's never good for someone to die in your hotel. But yeah, like it didn't seem like a lot of concern. Like if I were her family, I wouldn't be super happy with like anything from the hotel so far. Exactly. Involved in this. Yeah,
exactly. And I think now, since we've like alluded to this surveillance footage, and it's pretty much, I believe, what made the case famous almost, also the narrative that, a young woman of color, for say, was found in a freezer in this slimy hotel that, I'm not gonna bring out the reviews of this hotel, but I'm not sure if you know, but the reviews on this particular Crowne Plaza are not great. There's like some people stating that there were like knocks on their door, or people trying to open their doors while they're sleeping at the hotel. So this hotel is sketchy to begin with. It's a sketchy hotel to begin with, but now we have the footage of basically of Kenneka Jenkins right after her friends left her at that I guess elevator, and I believe she now has entered the elevator and she goes to the bottom levels. Now the bottom levels, there are some theories that sort of suggest that now you can see Kenneka Jenkins, now she's really drunk or on some sort of substance now, that illegal drug, not necessarily illegal drug, but that drug that was pretty much there to like help fight epilepsy or whatever, was found in her body. So I know you're gonna talk a little bit about that, so I'll let you do that soon. But there are theories that Kenneka actually by accident went to the lower levels, because the lower levels button was, I believe, LL, which stands for lower level, but she may have pressed LL thinking that it would lead her to the lobby, you know. So that's all I'm gonna say here, and I think you want to add to this, so I'll just let you do that.
Gosh, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I wonder what kind of. I mean, if you look at her here, she's just so out of it. I can't even think of the last time I was that drunk. I can. I can think of like one time, maybe one or two times ever. My whole, you know. Let me think. Like
I feel like if I was, I feel like I could not even be that drunk, because if I was intoxicated on this level, I'm not even walking. You know what I mean? I'm definitely in a corner puking on myself. I'm not. There's no way I'm walking. Like I have no idea how she's walking. I have no idea how you walk like this, like, and she's not falling over. Like, you know, like what is
yeah,
this?
well, and yeah, that's I think what we're gonna definitely break down, because I mean, okay, so on one hand, I've only puked once ever drinking, and I've definitely had my drinking bouts, but in, let's say, close to 30 years of drinking in my life.
Started drinking at 14, man.
No, well, I'm 44 now, so I mean, let's say like 26 years of drinking, so from like 18
Yeah.
on. Yeah, it's a good question though. Yeah, so I mean, I can think of like I said, the time that I puked was the only time that I think I ever like woke up where I didn't remember going to sleep. You know what I mean? Where like I think and all of us, funny enough, all of us drank that night, puked that
Yeah.
night. So we think maybe it was the food, not the drinking. But like, yeah. So like the only time I was ever like even kind of staggering like that, where I was off balance and like holding up the building, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like leaning against the building, like you're holding it up. I got to a party, and I got there a couple hours later than everyone else. So I was trying to catch up on drinking, and I've got like a super high tolerance. So I drank probably the equivalent of like a 6-pack or so in about an hour and a half. I guess that would be a good guess. And then, some extra on top of that. So yeah, like for about an hour, I was like in that. And then, like I ate some food, it wore off. I kept going, and then I was fine. But like, yeah, so here's where we get to. It would be interesting to ask if her friends would be more open-minded about this, or open to kind of being
By the way,
honest about. Yeah.
I just had to pause the video of her basically wandering around the lower levels. Now, this is the kitchen, but this is not the same kitchen where she entered the freezer. This is another kitchen, because they were like, it's a weird situation. I didn't look at the plans and the maps of the lower levels of the Crowne Plaza here. But then again, this is where one of the conspiracy theories that I found was pretty funny, and I definitely don't believe it, was in fact the case. Now, if you could see in the top, I would say middle to left corner of this particular shot, you could pretty much see. I'll just use the mouse here to direct you, man. If you could see this area right here, right?
Yeah.
People claim that this is a man. That this is a man, and he actually followed her. So this is one of the conspiracy theories. So let's play the clip. Let's see if that seems the case. Now, apparently someone saw him move. I personally don't
Yeah.
see that
Looks like a pile of rags.
yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't
looks
look
like a
like.
pile of
Yeah.
rags. It doesn't definitely doesn't look like a man to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean, it's and like to your point, yeah, it just looks like a disused kitchen. It's funny to think about it. It's one of those things you never think about at a big, huge hotel like that. How much room they must need for a kitchen, and then the fact that they have like so much room down there that you could run like multiple restaurants. Like I like a lot of the big casinos are like that. Like in Vegas, a lot of the casino hotels, like a Mandalay Bay. A Mandalay Bay might have like 20 different restaurants in it, not even including the food court or whatever. And you just think like, oh man, like that's a whole
Yeah.
it's a whole like army of chefs and cooks and office space and
Exactly.
kitchen space. So
I just wanted to quickly mention this is another potential conspiracy theory sighting soon that's gonna happen. I think it's pretty crazy as well. Yeah, as you can see, she's really drunk. She's super intoxicated in the air. But then again, how is she still moving? You know, that's look at this part. Look, people think someone just tried to grab her from that corner on the left. Now I didn't see anyone, but there are people like claiming that that they solved it. I didn't see anyone. You know, someone tried to grab her, but then they failed, and they were like hiding from like the security cameras. So, but
somehow they're ninjas that nobody's seen.
Now she just entered the toilets. By the way, the men's bathroom. So she's entering the men's bathroom. She clearly doesn't know where she's going because, you know, if she saw that it was the men's bathroom, she would probably not enter it. You know, I think.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish. I think what's happening here, she's trying to find the exit. I really, really strongly think that she is trying to find the exit because she just keeps going into these places, discovering that it's not the exit, and then she keeps wondering. You know, I think that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine that she's in her right mind. Like I feel like she's just almost sleepwalking at this point. You know, she's just so. Like drunk people are always so hard to deal with because they're not thinking logically, and then they're kind of like stuck in a loop. I don't know if you've ever had have like an argument or a disagreement or a fight, like a verbal fight with someone who's drunk.
Yeah.
Like it's really frustrating because you can't ever get them past, you know, if they start at A and you're trying to get them to Z to like, you know, to finish the thought. You can't get them past like B or C. They'll just go back to A again. And I feel like that's like she's just.
Yeah. By the way, yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Know what I mean?
Just the last note. This is pretty much the last shot before, you know, tragically Kenneka Jenkins enters the freezer and she apparently locks herself in. Now there are people stating that they're actually these freezers, right? They are, I guess, manufactured or assembled in a way that if, for say, you accidentally leave the freezer door a little bit open, right, then it will close automatically because, for say, you have some food items in there that, you know, will spoil if the door is not closed. Then, you know, it makes sense that it would close automatically. So I think seeing Kenneka Jenkins in that state that she's been, I think it would make sense that she just stumbled in there. It was pretty dark. Now I also have an image of the freezers. Now this is the freezer right here. I believe that, yeah, as you can see, the freezer door is on the right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So she probably went into that freezer and she actually accidentally got in there for maybe the freezers immediately automatically closed. Now I'm thinking the freezer is not that big, you know, it's not that big. Why would it close so fast? You know, that's what I'm thinking. Why would it, if she had to open it, and it's not that big of a space. Now she just minutes ago she went to the men's bathroom and she got out of the men's bathroom okay, you know, unscathed. Now she enters this freezer and she can't seem to get out of it. Now, I know that when the freezer closes the door, there is this green button that you could press, and the freezer door will open. You know, it was made especially for these events when someone accidentally, gets stuck inside the freezer, so that they would have a way to get out of it. Now, when she's really drunk or intoxicated, I don't think she would have seen this button, and yeah, then she would be trapped in there. Maybe she would lie down and just, given her state, she was probably really tired as well, because it was the middle of the night and they were partying all night long and just pretty much like drinking. She would be pretty much too tired to even attempt to get out. Once she figured out this door doesn't open, there's not even a door handle. There's this button, but it's super dark. I don't see the button. So she was like, and it's getting pretty cold. Because when you're drunk, you can sort of deal with the cold a little bit better than when you're sober. So what I'm trying to say here, she went into the freezers. It was really cold, but she didn't probably feel that cold, She was like, oh, it's chilly in here. I'll just take a nap. I think that's what may have happened. I'll let you add to that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, yeah, because there is supposed to be, obviously getting locked in a freezer accidentally is probably every food employee's nightmare. So they did have, for someone in their right mind, and like you pointed out, good lighting and things like that, with all the things working for the person, they should have been able to get out of there. And that's a good point. I didn't even think about that she got into the men's restroom and she didn't get stuck in there. If she had,
exactly,
she'd still be alive today, just, embarrassed. But yeah, instead she unfortunately kind of stumbled into a pretty dangerous part of
all the places that you could get stuck at. Why would she get stuck at the only place where she would die? That's suspicious, man.
And it's like, it's crazy, because it's not even just a walk-in freezer. It's a walk-in freezer within a walk-in cooler. So it's like a box within a box.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it happens. I mean, but here's the thing. So we're going to come back to this a couple times, but just because something seems suspicious or, is unfortunate, or, seems like the odds are against it happening, doesn't, like unfortunately people get themselves killed in dumb ways all the time, in ways they like, I'm sure if you'd ask them how you're going to die, that's not the way they would have thought. But that's unfortunately why they keep on having to come up with new laws and new rules. And I think even like now, because of this, Chicago has a new set of rules for hotels and restaurants with their freezers and how they're monitored. So, I guess here's the kind of one of the things that I think answers some of the question to why was she so out of it? Because she didn't do any of the other drugs at the party, so she didn't smoke any weed, though I don't know that would have even made her necessarily that out of it. I mean, sometimes if you're not used to smoking weed and doing alcohol at the same time, one can kind of accentuate the other or make someone more disoriented. But she's not acting like someone who's, suffering from that. She's acting like someone who's super drunk, or at least super drunk and medicated. So when they did the autopsy, they didn't find any sign of marijuana in her system. They found a little bit of caffeine, which is totally normal. That's probably caffeine's probably the most used drug in the Western world. Probably even more so than alcohol.
Yeah, I'm addicted.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it really gets you going in the morning and seems to be relatively harmless or even good for you. So then the only other thing that really stuck out, and it stuck out because she wasn't prescribed this drug, and no one seems to know how she got it. I'm guessing someone gave it to her. I'm going to assume she took it intentionally and it wasn't slipped into a drink, but who knows? Maybe it could have been, given all that was going on at that party. So there's a drug called topiramate, and it's a drug to treat epilepsy and migraine headaches. It's interesting because it doesn't actually, once you get a migraine, it doesn't help you. It's only good for preventing migraine headaches when I looked it up. And
so you have to be someone who has problems all the time, right?
Yeah, you probably get like cluster migraine headaches and things like that. You're someone that just reliably gets migraine headaches. I know people like that. Their lives are not happy, so makes sense. Okay, so there's a drug for that. From what we can tell, there's no reason for her to have that. I will say, I mean, I don't know if I'm out of line, but in the videos I saw of her before this, when she was just there just at home with her mom, hanging out, them having, there's some really nice videos of her with her family hanging out. She seems kind of drunk in general. I'm sure that was just maybe her being sleepy at night or whatever it was, but sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with her. Maybe she's just kind of a sleepy looking person, or she's kind of just a really hangout person, or maybe they were just, I'm sure like her mom seems like she's pretty upstanding, where she wouldn't allow her daughter to drink, or the fact that she had to hide what she was doing that night makes me fairly certain that her mom was not down with underage drinking. So maybe she was just kind of a mellow kind of person who sometimes seems like sometimes someone seems too relaxed, they seem drunk, and it's just them. But I don't know, I guess I've never heard any medical reason, because I say this because, if she was prescribed this or taking this off prescription, it might account for sometimes some of her demeanor in the other non-party videos, like her family videos, where she actually had a medical condition that for some reason isn't being disclosed to her. Well, then maybe there's something else to talk about here, but it doesn't seem to be. So yeah, so there's this drug that's really not what she should have been taking. And one of the things, when you look at there's like a whole thing on, this is from medicineplus.gov. One of the big warnings is that you are really supposed to tell your doctor if you drink alcohol, which she's 19, so she's not supposed to be drinking alcohol. But the reality is 19-year-olds do drink alcohol in this country, even when it's illegal. It's especially for one of the certain pills of it, the slow release type. It's really important because I guess it probably increases the chances that they overlap, you drinking alcohol and this thing being in your blood. But it also has some other side effects. So I think it's because it seems to compound the effects of alcohol. So it seems to make you more confused, seems to give you a higher chance of being off balance. Interestingly, it actually makes it harder for your body to cool down when it gets very hot. So that's going to come into account in a second when we talk about one of the other things that's mentioned in this case. But so, okay, that's something that goes on with it where, it can make you feel overheated. It's interesting that just like a lot of SSRIs, it also has a kind of a suicide warning. So it's actually more likely to make people commit suicide in the sample group they looked at. This says you may become suicidal. The only reason why I mentioned this is at the party, it didn't seem like the drinking, everyone else was having a pretty good time. She was like, they were at someone's birthday party. That was why they had changed plans from what they were doing originally. They go to this birthday party. Everyone's kind of, they're singing, they're dancing, they're drinking, they're smoking weed. And people are kind of remarking to her like, gosh, you don't really seem
because look,
super
man,
happy.
You are making insanely good points right now. You know why? Because look, as you were saying this theory, I was looking at Kenneka. Now you can see Kenneka right there. You can see the girl in all denim right there, in the back a little bit. She's stumbling there. She's not. It definitely seems that everyone else is drinking and they're just a little bit drunk. They all seem a little bit drunk, a little bit high on weed, but Kenneka is moving weird. She's moving weird. All I'm gonna say is that she's moving weird.
It seemed like everybody was a little taken aback by just her she would seem like her mood seemed out of. She was being described as being kind of like sad or low energy, and yeah, it wasn't. It was says here's a quote: wasn't acting like her usual self, saying she would dance a little, but then appear to be sad, went to go sit down. So like low energy, right? So that's one of the, you could argue low energy eventually is what killed her when she needed to really have some high energy to get out of the situation she was in. And then the confusion, well, that seems to correlate really well with what we saw with her kind of her strange search through the hallways or making her way down to the lobby and not really. I mean, why was she even doing that, right? Like, why was she going up and down and like all she had to do was stay in one place and let her friends come back to her? But like when someone's super drunk, they're not really in their right mind. They're kind of operating off of a different like program at that point. It's almost like a semi-random
Right.
like brain program they're running off of at that point. So yeah. That's what I think, though. I think it's also interesting to say that it may have actually made her more susceptible in the freezer. Now, if we look at the autopsy in the freezer, there's an autopsy that's available pretty easily from like most of the article, like the Chicago Tribune articles. They have a link right to the document, and you can go through it. And it's actually, compared to some of the other autopsy and medical examiner articles, it's relatively easy to read. And like I said, it mentioned the chemicals that they found in her stomach. It mentioned the different tests they did. So that can be confusing because you can look at that and say, oh, wait, she had this in her system. No, they tested. They tested for a lot of things. They tested for like the date rape drug. They tested, they tried to do a thorough job to rule out other things. And I think maybe sometimes people with the conspiracy theories don't realize that, like, oh no, they actually did check for things like date rape drug and for other kinds of drugs that might have been in her system.
Oh, so it was okay. That's
Yeah.
that's really good that you mentioned that. Yeah, that's all I wanted
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, totally. So that, I mean, but they did mention, they did notice, hey, there's this medication that, as far as they know, from Kenneka's family and from her lawyers, etc., her doctors, she wasn't supposed to have this. Now, one of the things that people look at, they say, hey, her shirt was pushed up, and doesn't that look like someone tried to assault her, undress her?
One
And
of
it's
her
like, oh no, well,
one of her shoes is missing,
yeah, one of her shoes is off.
and then
So
there's the injury on her foot with the same shoe that, or like
the shoe is off.
yeah.
Yeah, looks like
As we can
it's like
see,
a scrape.
this.
So
Okay, so first of all, because that's excellent that you just brought this up, because I wanted to mention a few things about this. I read somewhere, and I'm also gonna agree with it, that she may have taken off her shoe. Either there were two reasons why she would do that. The first reason would be that she would take her shoe off and she would bang on the door, right? That would make sense. You can't get out. You can't
Yeah.
find. It's dark. You can't find the button to push. To get out of the freezer, so you bang on the door with the shoe. The second reason would be that she may have stumbled somewhere, either somewhere where we can see, like maybe in the toilet somewhere like that, or in the men's toilet that she was previously at, or maybe in this freezer she may have hit her foot really hard on a corner or something like that, and she just laid down. Maybe that was the reason why she lay down, because she hit her foot and it hurt really bad and she didn't want to walk anymore, so she just laid down and she took that shoe off, you know what I'm saying, to look at the injury, and then she passed out. That could be also the case.
yeah, and then someone who hears that might be like, well, what about the rest of it? Why was her shirt pushed up? Why did it look like her clothes are being taken off? And that's I think an easier answer. And we have, unfortunately, a lot of historical examples to look at. So, World War II, there was a bunch of fighting in very cold parts of the Soviet Union. And one of the things that, after these battles were over, during like extreme blizzards and things like that, one of the things they noticed about some of the soldiers they found that froze to death was that they had taken their clothes off. And we covered this, I think, in our one of our early episodes about what's it called, the Russian campers.
The Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So paradoxical undressing. So strangely enough, when you're suffering from hyperthermia, which is what the autopsy said she died of, so freezing to death. When you're suffering from freezing to death, one of the cruel tricks your brain plays on you right before you die is it makes you think that you're actually hot, and it makes you want to take off your clothes. Now you add that to the medication. The medication also has a side effect that you're hot. So, I mean, I guess here's the other thing is I could see her just wriggling around on the ground and kicking off her shoe by accident. That's the other thing. I could be like, well, yeah, I like
Yep.
your personally, I like your version better. That she took off the shoe, she's banging it around, she's stumbling around, she knocks her foot on something while she's doing that, and then she gets tired and I want to sleep. Because when you're cold, when you're freezing to death, you also want to sleep. That's one of the things that happens. Is that's actually when I was a little kid, I went to the San Diego Zoo and they gave my Cub Scout pack. My Cub Scout pack a special tour behind the scenes, and one of the things they showed us was there's like these baby chicks, these dead baby chicks they feed to like the lions and things like that, or at least they did back then.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know how they kill them? So it's like a super not cruel way, I guess, or at least back then in the 80s. They would take a bunch of these, they're probably male chicks, right? Like the chicks that they're not going to use for chickens. They would take a bunch of them and just stick them in the freezer, and they would just, fall asleep and die. Kind of sad, but yeah, that's what I think kind of happened to poor Kenneka is, she's all disoriented. She's having, I would say, a negative drug interaction between the alcohol and this thing she wasn't prescribed that she took. And then that was the other thing I was thinking of. Why would someone do this? So two reasons. One is maybe there is some underground knowledge that, like, hey, if you want to get messed up and not drink a lot, because like so some people have a high tolerance. So for like someone like me to get even anywhere near that, I would have to drink a lot, and that's like a lot of going to the bathroom and everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a lot of drinking. So hey, like something that could speed that up, maybe that's attractive to somebody who's not like we pointed out, someone who's already not thinking things out. Here's the other thing I thought of. Maybe she took it with the thought that she was going to be hungover, so why not take what she sees as an anti-hangover medication ahead of time?
Oh, so it's a mistake,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's a mistake, or just not realizing. I mean, maybe it works. Who knows? And maybe even though you're not supposed to, maybe that like if you do it right, you get super drunk, and then the next day you're not. At least you have like one less symptom. You know what I mean? From doing that. To your point, I mean, the fact that she didn't vomit makes me think that it's totally that medication doing that. Because like I can't see somebody being that drunk
and walking, you know what I mean?
And walking and not like projectile vomiting out, like, because really someone that is drunk like that, if you just to our viewers and users who are of legal drinking age, if you ever find yourself that drunk and staggering around, my advice for having a good day the next day is probably try to vomit, because you'll probably, and then hydrate as much as you can, because having all that in your system, you might almost be dead. You could be pretty close to alcohol poisoning if you haven't taken that medication, right? Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was thinking, that if I was ever this drunk, there's like this is I don't know, man, this doesn't even look like the alcohol is doing it, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think this is because this could potentially not even be alcohol,
dude. I drank an 18-pack in one night and I was not staggering around like this.
Yeah. And especially at 19, like, I mean, how heavy of a drinker can you be on 18 to like still manage to walk drunk? Like, this is a typical day in the office for you, this is like a typical Friday for you. I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like
this this is somebody way. I mean, it's too bad her friends didn't know enough, because like to your point, someone like this should have puked already. This is like a serious disturbance of her balance in a way that, I don't know. It just, for somebody that is not like a habitual alcoholic,
Right.
that doesn't seem like a good way to go. So I think that's the thing, is there's so many, when you go on YouTube and you look up some of what different people have said, and this has been a really compelling case for a lot of reasons. I think that let's just rewind it for a second and look at it from her mother's perspective. I mean, I really feel for her mother, because it seemed like, her mother had been misled about what was going to happen that night. Her mother, I think, would have certainly not. I mean, even though Kenneka's an adult, she can do it if she wants in theory, but her mom's the one who's letting her live there, and she has some kind of responsibilities in her house. And like her mother, I think, from the videos I saw, tried to instill some good values in her, and had a pretty good family life. Her mother wasn't about her daughter doing underage drinking. And, when you look at kind of the extent that her mother went to try to find her. So, she called the police. This is, I think, where we can get into like the actions of who was responsible for what that night. So, we already mentioned what Kenneka was responsible with her own behavior. And then, at the point at which she's inebriated and out of it, I think she kind of loses responsibility for her own behavior at that point, because she's not in her right mind anymore. That's kind of more, the responsibility shifts to other people, like her friends and like the hotel and like the police and her mother. But her mother, I think, has been exonerated here in terms of really going the extra mile to try to find her daughter and fix the problem.
Yeah.
So I think, it really seemed like in the phone call, I can see it both ways. From the police's point of view, they get calls like this all the time from people that are looking for their kids. This is not a minor that she's looking for. It becomes a missing person. I think that the cop she talked to was kind of playing the odds, playing the statistics. They're like, oh, it's probably going to be fine. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And when that phone call was happening, in theory, Kenneka could have been still alive. I think I tried to do some research on how long it takes for someone to die of hyperthermia, and it really depends on a lot of different things. For instance, the freezer itself should have been at 0 degrees Fahrenheit if it was working properly and in full operation. Now, the one thing I noticed, like we just recently bought a huge freezer, just a standalone freezer, and it's interesting because I feel like it actually probably is easier to stay cold when it has frozen things in it already, if that makes sense. Like what I mean? Having more frozen things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like ice packs, right? So an empty freezer like that, maybe it's hard to keep it at 0. But when they finally measured the temperature, unfortunately, the door had been wedged open for 2 hours while they did their investigation. So it was at between 32 to 34 degrees Fahrenheit, which for you is about 0 degrees Celsius. Normally, it's supposed to be about just short of negative 18 Celsius for you guys in Europe, and for us in America, that's 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty cold, as I understand it. Sub freezing, or freezing and like close to sub freezing can kill someone pretty fast. And she wasn't dressed in very warm clothes. She had like a very light jacket. I don't know. I mean, it is possible. I wouldn't rule out that if somebody at the hotel, like if it had been like the fastest possible, where maybe if, let's say from the moment that Kenneka's friends called her mother, if her mother had known even that there was a hotel to call, which we'd not even clear on that, how much the friends told her, right? But if the mother had been able to call the hotel and say, hey, my daughter's missing, can you review the footage? And they'd taken her seriously, maybe, just maybe, they would have been there in time to find her. Now, there's also the thing about sometimes people are like near freezing to death, but their heart, like they're almost like, it's like those people that get stuck under ice for an hour, and they should have been drowned and dead, but they're able to revive them because their body kind of like slowed down. You know what I mean? Like it was just cold enough to preserve their
Organs.
their brain cells and everything. Yeah, the organs, but it wasn't part of the problem with freezing. Is that it actually breaks the cells. So, like, yeah, they're stopping your heart for sure. That'll kill you. But there's also, like, even after your heart stops, you can be brought back before things decay. But the problem is, fluids, water expands when it's frozen, and that actually breaks, like, I think the cell membrane. So there's actual damage that happens to something when it's frozen. And she was almost certainly frozen solid by the time they found her, which maybe was why that one guy wasn't in a hurry, because he just found a human icicle. But
Right.
yeah, still seemed pretty cold. So anyway, it's kind of a long way of saying that I could see her mother is so angry at a lot of different people. I mean, she's probably angry at Kenneka as well for making some unwise decisions and being duplicitous. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, I know when I was his age, I did like some partying and stuff that my parents didn't know about, and I was like a pretty uptight kid. Like, I wasn't, compared to like a lot of other people my age, I didn't do nearly the partying that a lot of people did. And even I, had my moments that I look back and I'm like, oh, that was pretty dangerous or not that smart. So I can't fault her too much. I do resent the police not taking her mom that seriously, but I can kind of still understand it, even though, like, in this case, it didn't work out. There really was an emergency. And then I think I don't understand the most with the hotel. Like, on one hand, the hotel does have a good point. Like, one of the things they said is, they're like, look, this person, the event that this person got killed in or died from was she was in a hotel room that was illegally booked with a stolen credit card, and it was an illegal party. There was illegal drinking, illegal drugs, and then the person, under like a state of drunkenness that she legally shouldn't have been in under, and with medication in her system she shouldn't have had, wandered into a restricted part of our hotel and met a fate. And I would say whatever happens with the lawsuit around this, because there's a $50 million lawsuit from her family against the hotel, I would say that there's some possibility that a jury or a judge, whoever gets to make the decision, will look at this and will say that Kenneka and her friends, etc., their own negligence contributed towards that, so that it might dampen the damages. But
Right.
I guess just to kind of finish my thought on that, I don't really see why the hotel wasn't. I get there's a lot of cameras running, but like, why they couldn't have just done a little bit better job trying to track this person from camera to camera and give a much better answer to the police and to her, given what was going on. And then I think the family does make a good point. If you're going to have something that's potentially dangerous, maybe you should have some better way to monitor what's going on with it. It did seem like it was a hazard. Like, imagine if it was, instead of Kenneka, it had been a small child. Would there have been, and not someone who had been partying?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of judgment because she was partying, right? But does our tone totally change if it's like Madeline McCann who wanders into that freezer and locks herself in and can't figure out how to use the button? Like does it change if it's one of the other missing people we talked about who weren't partying?
Exactly. That's actually a good point. Maybe if it was a child, it would be a whole another reaction. So I think you definitely wrapped it up really well. Before we, I guess, end this podcast today, I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit about the conspiracy theories, and that maybe there was foul play involved of some sorts. Now, we saw some anecdotal examples during the I guess the footage that we've seen of Kenneka Jenkins just stumbling around in the lower levels. I personally will rule out any foul play, but I'm definitely not saying that I'm ruling out like there should be no conversations had, because just because of the fact that she did go inside of the men's bathroom and she came out of it fairly easily, like within seconds, but then she goes to the freezer and then she can't figure out how to escape the freezer. Now obviously the men's bathroom door and the freezer door are two different things, so obviously it would be a lot harder for a person who is not in their right mind to get out of the freezer than it would be from, you know, just a standard door handle having a door. But then again, why out of all of the places to get stuck in, to necessarily have that foot injury and just lay down and just rest, of all the places to end up in the only freezer that could kill you pretty much, and the kitchen was not even operational, you know, the freezer was just on like that. So it's suspicious, but I'm still leaning towards that this is just a crazy line of events where, you know, it's just a crazy line of events where there was a really small chance of Kenneka Jenkins wandering into the only place that she would die by laying in there. You know, the chances would have to be in like the less than 1%, and I think she just unfortunately just took the route that would kill her, because she could have, you know, just stayed there at the elevator or whatever, you know. So or laid at the bathroom, at the men's bathroom, you know. It's just I really think it was just an unfortunate line of events, and currently I don't see any foul play. I mean, if any of our audience see any foul play, then definitely leave that in the comments. Now I'll let you talk.
You know what?
About it.
Actually, I should have. I just realized there was one last thing from the autopsy I checked, that because I could see somebody coming up and saying, "Hey, you know, despite all the reasons you guys just gave, you know, I still think that what if she was sexually assaulted, let's say, and then or it was a cover up, like that was the other theory, is maybe it was a cover up
Yeah.
for like a gang rape or something that happened." And I said, "Okay, that's, you know, okay. That's plausible. Let's look it up." So this autopsy was fairly thorough. They examined her organs and they examined her genitals and her uterus, etc. And they said there was no trauma to her, let's say, vaginal area. There was no sign that there had been like any sexual contact, let alone like a sexual assault that would cause, you know, trauma and tearing and things like that. So I think I guess that's where it's like, if we were to kind of use the Occam's razor, simplest explanation is the most logical. Yeah, it's like super frustrating, right? Like it's super frustrating for her mom. It's super tragic. It is kind of amazing, but I guess in a world with billions of people, a handful of people are gonna die in what seems like just bizarre ways. There's a whole Wikipedia page, you know,
I know, man.
that makes. Have you ever read that page? There's
I
a page of like strange. It's an awesome page. There's one. there's I mean, it's kind of bizarre. Even before you get to the modern ones, the ancient ones. But yeah, the modern ones are like super crazy. So yeah. Anyway, it's just tragic. I really feel bad for her mom. It sounds like her mom, you know, there was some kind of future ahead of Kenneka where she was just getting going, had a job, and, you know, was just trying to live the American dream, and you know, ran into, you know, a bad stretch of luck.
Yeah. Okay. This has been episode number 53. I mean, this was a pretty interesting show for me, just because of all of the visual assets that we had, you know, the footage, all of that. And, you know, that's because the case was pretty recent, you know, because in recent weeks we tended to cover cases that were pretty much almost older than I am. So it was pretty refreshing to go to something recent. Yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this case, definitely leave some comments in the comments section of our YouTube page. Tell us your opinions. Maybe we missed something. Maybe one of the crazy conspiracy theories isn't that crazy after all, and maybe it actually does explain this just a really unfortunate line of events where Kenneka ends up in the in the freezer. That, out of all of the places to end up in the freezer, that's pretty insane to me. So maybe there's something more nefarious going on here. I mean, if you have something for us, guys, definitely leave the comment or contact us or whatever. We would love to hear that. And I hope everyone enjoyed this week's show. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't mind doing that, and then leaving a like. That will help us a lot. And for now, guys, take it easy, and as always, stay safe and peace out.